Women are naturally drawn to men who don't depend on them. And this concept is crucial to grasp, especially in today's dating scene, which is flooded with distractions. Despite the perception that women are constantly bombarded with quality options, the reality is quite the opposite. While they may attract attention more easily than men, most don't have the abundance of high-quality, masculine men to choose from. Contrary to popular belief, most of the men approaching women aren't necessarily attractive. Whether in terms of looks or behavior, this discussion will focus on behavior, as it is one of the most important differentiators for standing out from the crowd of average men. In terms of behavior, many men struggle with the balance between showing just enough interest to capture a woman's attention and pursuing her without going overboard. Think of it as balancing on a tightrope. Lean too far one way and everything falls apart. Yet, many men mistakenly treat this balance like a weightlifting session, pushing harder, thinking the more effort they apply, the better their results will be. Unfortunately, this often leads to overpursuit, which gives off a vibe of neediness, ultimately lowering a man's perceived value. You could have the lifestyle, the cars, the physique, and a successful career. But if you come across as needy, all of that won't matter. Women will see desperation, and it's a quick way to devalue yourself. I've seen it firsthand. A man with local celebrity status, money and a flashy car, ended up being laughed at behind his back by a woman who only used him for dinner and a ride in his expensive car. His mistake: he tried to win her over with material things, instead of relying on his character and the unique value he could bring to her life. This approach, unsurprisingly, left him empty-handed. No second date, no physical connection, just silence when she stopped responding. So why did this happen? Despite being a high-value man on paper, his perceived value was low, because he was positioning himself as though he needed her approval. By trying to impress her with material goods, he was essentially qualifying himself to her, signaling that her validation mattered more than his own self-worth. This tactic usually results in a man becoming less assertive and direct, because he's too focused on getting the woman's approval through indirect means. On the flip side, being direct and assertive signals confidence, showing that you don't need her to feel validated. A confident man isn't afraid to polarize a woman. When you ask her out directly, you force her to make a choice, which immediately gives you insight into her level of interest. In contrast, when you overcomplicate things by offering extravagant dinners or concert tickets, you're sending the message that you're relying on external factors to win her over. This can quickly make her feel like you're compensating for something, raising a red flag about your confidence and sense of self-neediness. Doesn't always have to come from lavish gestures or expensive outings. Even men without wealth or luxury items can display needy behaviors in their interactions. When neediness creeps in, whether subtle or blatant, it drastically impacts how a woman perceives you. Being clear and straightforward in your actions and intentions demonstrates that you don't depend on her approval, which is ultimately far more attractive. When men prioritize women above everything else in life, it's a problem. This is why it's essential to have a purpose or mission that takes precedence over relationships. A strong life direction serves as a guiding force for your decisions. making women a complement to your life rather than the center of it. Having multiple dating options can help reduce the desire to cling to one particular woman. But there's a downside if you're not careful. This abundance can backfire. For instance, constantly having women in your life can create a dependency on their attention. When a dry spell hits, this can lead to neediness, because you've grown too accustomed to their company. It's all about balance. Too little female attention can make you desperate, while too much can condition you to rely on it. Each man handles this differently, but the root issue remains the same. Needing women too much even if the symptoms vary. They all point to this underlying problem. In one of my previous videos, I mentioned a woman I dated who openly admitted that, while she wanted to be important in a man's life, she didn't want to be his top priority. She found it stifling and unattractive when a man made her the focal point of his life. There are various reasons for this, but one that isn't discussed much is a woman's instinct to change or improve a man. While it's often said that women wait at the finish line for winners, that's not entirely true. Many women will date men who aren't fully established, hoping to help them grow or change. I've personally seen women stick with men who repeatedly cheat or embarrass them in public, clinging to the hope that they can change their behavior over time. This desire to nurture and fix men is deeply ingrained in some women. In one case, a woman stayed with a man who humiliated her on multiple occasions, hoping that by supporting him, he would eventually improve. Of course, that rarely works. But it highlights how emotionally invested women can become in men. They believe they can fix. Additionally, some women are attracted to the idea of taming a player. They want to be the one who finally convinces a man to settle down. It's similar to the desire to fix a man, but with a twist. They want to feel like they've won by getting him to abandon his old ways. This feeds into their sense of achievement and validates their role in shaping the man's life. As I was editing this video, I realized that the connection between a woman wanting to fix a man and being attracted to one who doesn't need her could use some more explanation. Interestingly, I just had a conversation about this with a woman today. When I mentioned the title of this video, "Women only want men who don't need them," she immediately agreed. She also added that women often want to change the men they're drawn to, which ties in perfectly. So the key takeaway is this. When a woman feels that she can improve a man's life, it suggests he's not needy. He's confident in himself, and her efforts to contribute to his life come from a place of wanting to support his growth, not to complete him. A man perceived as needing improvement is often living life on his terms, signaling authenticity and a lack of neediness, which are highly attractive qualities. This dynamic can drive a woman to invest more effort into changing him, increasing her emotional attachment. In many cases, simply getting a man to commit is viewed as a fix. On the other hand, a man operating from a position of neediness may sacrifice his true self to win a woman over, molding himself to fit her ideal. The key isn't to live recklessly, but to remain authentic and true to your own path, without worrying about what a woman thinks. This independence is far more appealing to women than neediness, or compromising who you are to gain their approval. Women are more likely to stick around when they feel they are with you by choice, rather than sensing you need them for validation. When a pre-selected man is convinced to change his lifestyle, for a woman, it signals to her and to others that she must be highly valuable. This concept can be likened to landing a woman who is a 9 or 10. When a man dates a highly attractive woman, it can feel like a social achievement, much like getting a trophy girlfriend. However, many men misunderstand what it truly means to be with such a woman. It's common for guys online to say they only want to date the most beautiful women, but they often don't fully understand the implications of what they're asking for. As I mentioned in a previous video, being with an incredibly attractive woman can trigger a different level of primal attraction. However, that doesn't guarantee you'll be able to keep her interested, or even that you'll want to. One of the biggest issues with dating highly beautiful women is that they are hard to come by, often found in specific industries or exclusive circles, like VIP sections of clubs, which most men don't have access to. Even if you do manage to date one of these women, 9 out of 10 men will eventually fall into a needy mindset, which can ruin everything. This begs the question, why does this happen? It's because most men who date extremely attractive women, unless they themselves are equally high caliber inside and out, will start to see the woman as being better than them in some way. Men are easily mesmerized by beauty, which is why women have used it to their advantage for centuries. Men often do irrational things just because a woman looks good, and women are fully aware of this power. It's easy for them to manipulate men with their looks, and most guys will fall into this trap, making themselves vulnerable to a woman's whims. Pair a woman's beauty with her innate ability to read social situations and assess men quickly, and you've got a recipe for disaster. If you're operating from a place of neediness, in a relationship with a truly beautiful woman, it becomes almost impossible to avoid falling into the trap of needing her more than she needs you. This imbalance is where things can quickly go wrong. When I mention truly beautiful, I'm not talking about the cute girl at your local coffee shop that you consider a 10. I'm referring to an objective 10. A woman with world-class beauty, someone with millions of Instagram followers, walking Paris runways, winning beauty pageants, or being a famous actress or musician. It's essential to clarify this, because many guys casually label various women as 9s or 10s, acting as if they encounter these types regularly, which is far from reality. The idea ties back to the balance between being with a woman who ignites genuine, primal desire and one that you can realistically manage. Men are often called delusional, and sometimes they are, but they can be just as unrealistic as women. It's like the classic saying, your eyes are bigger than your stomach, where you overestimate what you can handle and end up sick from trying to consume too much. My advice is simple. Don't engage in the game of dating incredibly beautiful women. If you can't handle it, your frame and confidence must be solid as titanium. You'll need substantial experience and must operate from a position of not needing this woman. That's incredibly difficult for most men when facing such high levels of beauty, and anyone who says otherwise is not being honest. Returning to the notion of women wanting to fix you, this dynamic plays into the allure of a man who doesn't need a woman. Beneath the surface, this creates a challenge for her, signaling that if she can make you care for her, it's a significant achievement. Many women might deny this outwardly, but reality speaks louder. Just scroll through TikTok for 5 minutes, and you'll see countless women lamenting over falling for indifferent guys who didn't care. They're constantly drawn to these men who could take them or leave them, which frustrates them, but they keep getting caught up in it. The same dynamic applies to why celebrities or high-status men are attractive, at least from afar. There are several reasons why these men are appealing, but a key factor is that their time and attention are incredibly valuable. Gaining access to a high-status man is flattering to a woman's ego, because it signals that this man, who has many options, doesn't need her specifically. If she can win his attention and get him to invest in her, it provides a massive dopamine hit. That's why it's crucial to understand that when you truly don't need a woman, you're operating at your most attractive level. This doesn't mean you can't care for or commit to a woman. It simply means you realize that you can survive without her. You know your value exists regardless of her presence in your life, and you don't need her validation to be a happy, functioning man who offers value to the world. Two things can be true at once. You can deeply care for someone and yet not need them. It may seem counterintuitive, but with the right attributes and experience, you can balance both. There's a famous quote by Henry David Thoreau that captures this idea. Happiness is like a butterfly. The more you chase it, the more it will evade you. But if you notice the other things around you, it will gently come and sit on your shoulder. This quote illustrates how not needing or chasing something often leads to receiving it more naturally. The same applies to attraction. That being said, this doesn't mean you never pursue women. You still need to approach and interact with them to get the results you want. However, this pursuit can come from an internal state of not needing a specific outcome. You can pursue a woman without desperately needing her approval. Separating wanting something from needing it is a critical distinction. Finally, to grasp this fully, you need to understand the difference between objective and perceived value. Be sure to watch my next video, which dives deeper into this concept and will help you avoid common mistakes most men make today. I'd like you to give me your thoughts and experiences on this topic in the comments below, and if you think the ideas provided are things you think could win the right woman over. And like I said, to follow this up, watch the recommended video popping up on your screen now. Thanks as always for watching, and always remember to keep embracing a stoic approach to life.